Hello, my name is George Bokuchava. I'm CEO of Tulix Systems. Tulix Systems is located in Atlanta, Georgia, USA, and it's a leading provider, like everyone else says, in the OTT market. Today's presentation will be about top trends that we can expect in 2018. Actually, what we're going to have is I'll go quickly through the items that are required to build your own OTT solution. Obviously, you don't have to build your own, but you'll see how we're handling that, who are different vendors, potential vendors, and what Tulix plays or what Tulix does to make your life much easier if you would like to get an OTT solution. As you can see, everything starts with source acquisition, right? So let's take a look at what kind of source acquisition possible. I mean, what mechanisms to get. One, the oldest, it's a fiber. The other one, it's a satellite acquisition through satellite dish. Now let's talk about trends. What we're seeing more and more, actually, that acquisition is happening over the public internet. So from the source to an OTT provider, you have a signal which will be transmitted over a public internet, obviously including very often it's encryption is used, as well as forward or just error correction. Okay, so this is one of the trends of how to acquire the source, and obviously, from the fiber point of view, there are well-known names, and there are names like telcos that can do it for you. I'm not talking like classical like the Switch and the other ones, but it's a telco providers as well as teleports. You know about satellite acquisition, it's almost any teleport. Now, again, from the teleport, you can get to your place via IP or over the fiber, and obviously fiber is more costly and from some point of view maybe more difficult to maintain and all the stuff. So why IP based source acquisition is getting more and more popular. Now, regarding the next item, we're talking about encoding, transcoding. There are like very well-known companies, obviously, which are doing that. I don't want to call name, but because probably you know most of them, but it'll be Harmonic, Elemental, and you know all the rest that you can find on this floor and beyond. What transit from my point of view I see? I see a lot of trials or kind of direction that everyone wants to switch to HEVC, and Apple supports that, Apple browser supports that. So it looks like there is a moving towards HEVC. At the same time, personally, I'm a believer in a more efficient H.264. Less problems with compatibility. Yes, you can do MPEG dash here, you can do HLS here, and whatever else is everywhere. But for now, based on at least our experience, it's much easier to work with HLS. And HLS, if we limit to H.264, I would rather to use some intelligent system for compressing the signal. Again, it's a beamer, it's IQ technology, it's all the different vendors which allows you to do that, and I think this is the way to go, at least at this point. And I think in the near future, in 2018, we'll see more than HEVC. We will hear more about HEVC, but in reality, I think this is what will be going underneath. Now, geofencing, target delivery, obviously there are several major providers of this service, and this has to be integrated on different levels. It could be a level of the continent, it could be level of the country, could be level zip code, cities, and so on and so on. Next, it's CMS and billing. Obviously, they're well-known vendors. CMS billing, Tulix has its own CMS and billing system, which included by default in all the installations, scalable, expandable, open from the point of API of integration with almost any existing billing system and any point of sales. This is one of the current projects that we're working right now. We're talking about 18,000 stores, point of sales that supposed to be integrated in one of our OTT installations. Ad insertion and personalization. This is kind of painful subject because everyone is talking about that. Some vendors are doing that, but no one does it perfectly yet, at least on the level of personalization. And I'm talking, by the way, I'm talking about all these features specifically for linear channels. I'm not talking about video on demand, like Netflix type of systems where personalization could be done much easier because it's almost like, I wouldn't say it's not real time, obviously it's real time from the point of view of displaying ads, but it's still, it's a history of watching video on demand assets and all this stuff, but I'm talking about live. I'm talking about live insertion. I'm talking about all the business rules. I'm talking about integration with some of the known ad services would be Freewheel and SeatChange and all this stuff, as well as the proprietary ones, which I believe will be popping up this year. More and more new ones. The reason is why, because only big guys could have integration with those well-known ad services, and smaller guys are using like DoubleClick from Google or some similar service like that. They're not making money. Originally, whatever they're making, they were happy with, and now they're realize that actually they are underpaid. So why they will be looking for the alternative ad solutions, and this is again the trend that I will see. There will be popping up more and more proprietary or new ad-based systems or ad market providers. Applications, players. This is so many variety of them. Some of these DRM, some of them is token authentication or session authentication, flashy with catch up with NDVR, with DVR. As long as the user have a good experience, this is what matters. Now, what will be behind, I'd like to talk on one of the next slides. Now, briefly, I talked about all this stuff, but Tulix. Again, Tulix is a company with a long history under Tulix name. It exists since 2004. It's located in Atlanta, Georgia. We have, unlike any other companies, our own infrastructure. Actually, we have our own couple of our own data centers, as well as everything what we're managing ourselves. And for our customers, what we do the whole, other companies are saying, complete OTT solutions, but we're going beyond that. In most cases, complete OTT solutions company, what they mean, they're building complete software stack or complete software layer for solving their tasks. In our case, we're building systems which are getting from source acquisition, like I said, if necessary, we're placing order fiber, protected way, whatever it would be, going to all the encryption and error correction to get to our facilities, and then we're doing everything up to the applications. CDN is part of our services, and CDN is not like we're just placing, although we have a couple of points of presence, we're replacing servers somewhere else, but 80+% of traffic comes from our facilities where we own our routers, switches, so all the starting from hardware, not even hardware, but lines going to network stack and up hardware and so on. The next that I'd like to talk about Tulix CDN, very special CDN in my opinion. CDN is designed specifically for linear streaming. Unlike any other CDNs, which probably 60% of their stuff is a website acceleration, and maybe the rest 30% it's video on demand caching. In our case, 90+% it's a linear or it's a live video streams, which is one of the most complex actually services for CDN. And we have our approach, how we're solving potential challenges. So what we do, it's in couple words, we are actually optimizing on two, at least on two levels. One of the level is, or maybe three levels. One of the level, it's a network level. So when we have inquiries coming to our network from anywhere in the on the globe, we have a system which is tracking down actually the best path how to send signal back to the viewer. Okay, and the difference, again, I don't want to go into the networking too much. By default, if you don't have any special devices, by default, so-called BGP protocol sends through the so-called shortest path. You heard about fault tolerance. You heard about redundancy. Now, the good and bad about redundancy and fault tolerance on the network side, at least. So, if line is working, it will continue to work no matter how bad it's working. So if you have 2% packet loss, if you have 10% for packet, if you have 40% packet loss, by default, internet will try to push through that particular line, okay? And it will switch to an alternative line, obviously, if you do have alternative line, only in case if line will go down completely. We have a system which measures packet loss, so-called WAN, W-A-N accelerator, and in case of any packet loss to any place on the globe or in a planet, we're automatically rerouting or switching paths. So that feature makes huge difference specifically for live streaming, for linear streaming. And this is what we're utilizing. So as you can see on the slide, actually, we're using between 10 and 40 gigabit per second each server that we have on our network. And it's optimized for actually any protocol, not only HTTP-based protocol, but if it's whatever it will be, WebRTC, whatever it will be, RTMP, RTSP, anything, because we're optimizing on the network layer. The two other ones, actually, we're building very often custom CDNs. Specific custom CDNs, I mean that if we have someone in Asia, in specific region, we're dropping some servers there, we're measuring performance, and based on that, criteria that we're getting back from the viewers, we are actually tuning the CDN specific for that region, specifically for those encoders and the content, obviously, that we are pushing to those regions, or it will be in the US or anywhere else. Every time if it's a little bit, I wouldn't say unusual, but for each installation, actually, for each OTT installation, we always tune our CDN because it's tunable, because it's actually we can control the passes which our streaming service will be pushing to the specific regions. So this is a very powerful, actually, CDN, and I'm repeating it, it's for live or linear streaming services. So you can see what I was talking about, mitigation of packet loss, bottleneck. So what bottleneck? So you have 100 gigabit line, and this 100 gigabit line is 100% full. Our system will be able to find a workaround, if it exists, obviously, at all, because this will be converted into the packet loss, and the packet loss automatically says, no, find there an alternative line. This is actually the whole our streaming solution. As you can see on the screen, it starts from signal acquisition, and we do have our 3 downlink actually facilities. 2 are completely under our control, and the second one or third one, we're actually utilizing someone else's facility, but all the transcoding and all the stuff done with our actually equipment. And then the whole workflow, you can see all this transcoding and multi-profiling or ABRing and live online DVR and all this kind of things. And you can see we have almost all the platforms covered on the right side. And those platforms are web platform, which we're finding that it's still one of the most popular platform, as well as the mobile devices. And the third class is actually devices that usually you're attaching to TV sets. So I can split like in those three: web-based, mobile, and devices that you plug to TV sets, like would be Roku or Amazon Fire or Android TV or Android boxes. Okay. If you have any questions, please take a look at this slide, and you can always ask us. By the way, you may have noticed, but when I was talking about Tulix CDN, I was talking about three layers. One of the layer or three reasons why our CDN is designed specifically for live streaming. You can see here, I think I have this, I'd rather to have a finger, it says TNA. TNA is the Tulix new architecture. The Tulix new architecture, we had to come up with Tulix new architecture because what we found out that for live streaming, 724, 365 or whatever days per year, a lot of commercial servers or so-called packagers or any other components are not stable enough. So we had to come up with our actual build based on existing component solution, which provides the best user experience. So you'll not get interruption in the video service. It's not like we have to reboot some of our streaming servers or packetizers or packagers or anything like that because it's been up for 2 months. No, this is one of the most robust and scalable, actually, simultaneously architecture. We had to come up, we didn't want to, but we had to come up just to make sure that customers are getting experience that we've been promised. Here, I think, I have one of the trends, again, going back to trends, it's a social network, streaming to social network. So with our system, it's, as well as probably, I think it's not a big deal one way or another, but what we do have at any point of time, if someone wants to push it to another screen, being social networking, would be Facebook or YouTube or anything else, our system by default supports that. And you can turn it on, turn it off at any point of time. I think it's good to have it. How much value? I don't think that anyone done a research, or at least I haven't seen the results of research, but I think it's must have a feature which we have, and I think it will expand more and more. Here we have an example of NDVR and DVR. So we can have, you can see that, not only NDVR, but we have a DVR, each DVR section with actually has a thumbnail. So here's a trend. Just during last months or so, or less than a month ago, we decided to put an experimental system. So guess what that system would be? It will have a 12 months DVR. 12 months. Now, these numbers of, usually it's 24 hours, 36 hours, 72 hours, 5 days, 7 days. We had some existing customers who have 30 days DVR, but here's the difference between 36 hours or 72 hours and 12 months DVR. Obviously, you're supposed to have an EPG, and you have a searchable EPG. In some cases, you may not have to have video-on-demand assets, because those video-on-demand assets, it will be just a cut-out piece from your DVR, which you've done during the last 12 months. So if there was a movie which was aired over the internet 3 months ago, and it's obviously in EPG, just do a search of that movie, click, and it will jump into the DVR, and the appropriate movie will be displayed. Obviously, the licensing and all the stuff will come to the place, but technologically, especially for those channels which are okay with the licensing, up to 12 months at this point, this is, I think, I wouldn't say revolutionary, but revolutionary from the point of view that you may not have to have VOD assets anymore, because this is what's actually will replace, I believe, for in such scenarios. So this is what we have. We're located again in Atlanta. It's a midtown. We sit on a bunch of fiber. Fiber goes between us and Career Hotel, between us and 2 data centers. So this is best place to be from many points of view. I'd like to welcome you to visit us at any point of time in our building, in our office. And thank you for your time. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer because I think, will be good. Thanks.